Imagine what it would be like to be a young woman who opens the door and sees this man all in black. And
What's up, guys? I'm just doing something real quick.
And he just killed 4 people with a knife. He walks right past you and out the door. How close to death were you? It gives me shivers to just think about what that is. And that must just roll through her head.
So, how you guys doing?
Yeah, that's gonna stick with a jury.
According to investigators, Dylan described herself as being in, quote, frozen shock when she saw a man inside her home in the middle of the night. She was so scared, she locked herself in her bedroom. But the thing that raised eyebrows is that nobody did anything about it. In fact, 911 was not called until noon the next day, about 8 hours after the estimate of the murders.
Some people, when they're very frightened, they just shut down and they tend to isolate and hide, and basically it's a seeking safety response. If she had been under the influence of something, she might have just because she really didn't know what to do.
The major piece of evidence that the public didn't know about was a knife sheath left behind likely by the killer. It was found partly under Madison Logan's body and the comforter on her bed. On the snap of that knife sheath was DNA.
So investigators had DNA from the crime scene. They took the DNA and they ran it through the National Crime Database, and there were no hits, no matches. But the DNA was still useful because you could eliminate potential suspects. There were a lot of them. Not only ones that law enforcement was looking at, but a whole bunch that people online, all those true crime sleuths that are out there, were looking at as well.
I made a video a few weeks ago. Jeremy Reagan was included in that video, and
Just letting people know that I'm live.
Suspicious, or he was the murderer.
My name is Jeremy Reagan, and I live just a couple doors down from where the murders happened.
I first met Jeremy Reagan about a week after the murders. He was a neighbor of the girls
Oh,
on King Road.
Okay, well,
Once
don't let me
they
in.
saw Jeremy on camera, many started to speculate that he possibly was a killer. What was it like to be accused of something so horrible?
Offensive. They watched my interview and they said, "Hey, he's kind of weird."
All right.
And so then they dug into everything I ever did on social media, stuff that my parents had posted about me, taking everything.
These 2 guys are the boyfriends of them as well, but cleared them. So one purpose is these guys are innocent. But the folks online weren't convinced.
There was also as Hoodie Guy. So people were analyzing the food truck video, and they thought he looked quite suspicious.
Yeah, there's been a lot of speculation and rumors. We're the official source of information. Individuals who are being harassed in this situation. People need to be careful.
Another early focus of the investigation was video. Detectives gathered recordings from homes, businesses all around the time of the murders in that area. And one thing stood out. One vehicle stood out. That was a white Hyundai Elantra.
We're looking for that car because we
So,
investigation that car was in the area during the time of the murders.
I don't know if my friend will join or not, but I can surely try.
The white Elantra made 3 separate passes by the house on King Road. Then, at 4:04, they say it was back for a 4th time, stopping in front of the house before traveling on to do a 3-point turn. It then drove past the house again and out of the camera's view. At 4:20, it was back in view and leaving the area at a high.
A Kansas police officer from Washington State University across the state border who decides to run a list of all the white Elantras on campus. And he finds one. It's registered to a guy named Brian Kohlberger.
They end up finding his car in the parking lot of Kohlberger's campus apartment. When they run his name, they find that he'd been pulled over twice in the months before the murders, once in Moscow and once in Pullman.
Hello, sir. I'm Officer Linus. Stop saying audio and video recording.
I was just slightly next to the crosswalk, so yeah, we're in Pennsylvania. We actually don't have like crosswalks, so you guys hear if you're kind of slightly. Yeah, there's a little bit more leeway as well. Like there are a few, it's like there's one Like when I said, there's like a certain
Yeah.
question you can actually kind of put the police vehicle.
During a traffic stop in Moscow, Koberger gave the officer his cell phone number.
Now, when you get a phone number, it changes everything because you get access to it in a different way. That's one more piece of evidence, one more piece of the puzzle. Is it enough to see what the puzzle says? Not necessarily, but you get closer.
According to investigators, Koberger's phone records showed that between 2:27 a.m. and 4:48 a.m. the morning of the murders, Koberger's phone was turned off or in airplane mode, or possibly out of battery, but it wasn't connecting to any cell phone tower.
Sometimes it's not about evidence. It's about the lack of evidence that actually matters. In this particular case, we have a cell phone that was turned off for a very specific window of time. During a window of time where 4 people were murdered, and he is the singular suspect. That means something.
Investigators said that when they looked back at Koberger's cell phone records in the 5 months leading up to the murders, that his phone was in the area of the girl's home on 12 separate occasions.
This was not
I
just
forgot what this was actually supposed to be.
happened to be in the region one time, and it's easily explainable. Problem is now you really have to be able to explain that a dozen times the month before. You better have a pretty good reason
Oh.
for this.
I know what this is. It's supposed to be illusion. Well, you know, like one of those hypnosis things.
We read the affidavit, we just find out that he was talking them, he was hunting them. He was just a person looking for an opportunity. Imagine what happens when you're finally able to get the results of the DNA sample. I got this.
We don't know when and how this DNA got there. I'm not at all worried about DNA.
Last night, the injection of the Pennsylvania State Police, Inter Bureau of Investigation, detectives arrested 28-year-old Brian, so Ethan, Zena, Madison, and Kaylee. Mr. Koberger was taken into custody without incident. The scene was turned over to the FBI Evidence Response Team for processing.
According to a Monroe County, Pennsylvania prosecutor, when SWAT arrived at the family home of Brian Koberger, they found him standing in his parents' kitchen at 1:30 in the morning.
Koberger was found holding medical type gloves. Apparently was taking his personal trash and putting it into separate Ziploc bags.
The DNA found on the knife sheath under Madison Morgan's body was the piece of the puzzle investigators needed. 3 days before Koberger's arrest, detectives used trash from Koberger's parents' home for a DNA sample that turned out to be a match to the suspected killer's father.
Imagine what happens when you're finally able to get the results of the DNA sample that you pull from the father. You can just hear the champagne popping. And this is a quad murder. That has to be elation in that squad room, in that war room, when they're sitting together and they're looking at each other and going, we got this guy.
Custody and believed that he would be exonerated.
He is very intelligent. In my power.
Even though Pennsylvania courtroom, I was inside of that courtroom when he walked in, and everyone was able to see him for the first time. His mother broke down into tears. The Koberger family, they were sitting on the front row of that courtroom. He made sure to make that eye contact with them, and he kept looking at them.
Big breaking news, folks, just moments ago. Here it is, the arrival of the accused killer in Idaho.
It was quite a scene when Koberger arrived back in Idaho. He was taken off the plane in Pullman and put into a pickup truck. And then a caravan of law enforcement vehicles drove him into the Layton County Jail parking lot where media and even members of the public were outside waiting for him. The next time we saw him,
Oh, da, 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 da.
guilty or found guilty. is up to death and/or imprisonment for life. Do you understand?
Yes.
Unlike in his Pennsylvania appearance, where Kohberger looked back to see his family in the courtroom, he seemed to make a point in Idaho not to do so, likely because he knew the victims' families would be in the gallery.
And he's scared to look at me in the eyes and start to understand what's about to happen to him. You know, he picked the wrong family.
So once the suspect appears at work, and at that point the public got some answers. And more importantly, the families finally got some answers.
You read the affidavit and you just find out that
The evidence against Brian Kohberger, but there is a gag order here, so we don't know everything the prosecution has.
Looks like we're having some
There's
Texas.
a long way to go, and a lot of people think that this case isn't a slam dunk.
It's absolutely disgusting. This guy does not have a presumption of innocence. He has the assumption of guilt. I'm Sarah Azari. I'm a criminal trial attorney in Los Angeles. I'm currently a legal analyst for News Nation.
So I only have one person watching, and I don't know who it is. Oh, and I don't have anybody.
Convictions of high-profile defendants in high-profile cases is nothing new, but Kohberger is still on the
Okay.
level, and I think not only we found him guilty of slaying the 4 Idaho students, but we decided that he's going to get the death penalty.
The most significant piece of evidence for prosecutors is the DNA of the defendant found on the knife sheath of the alleged murder weapon.
And he touches this knife sheath, and then somehow this knife sheath is picked up by somebody else, and he could touch it, he could handle it, it could be anything. And then that person then somehow is in this Kings Road home. That is a perfect explanation of how Kohberger's DNA is on that knife sheath. Is it sufficient to place him in that home, let alone to place the murder weapon in his hands? That's why I'm not at all worried about the DNA.
I'm Tiffany Roy, and I'm a forensic DNA expert. I work privately in the area of forensic DNA and forensic biology. I've been doing this work for 17 years. DNA can be transferred onto items that people have never contacted and never touched. It can be found in rooms where people have never set foot. He may never have touched that sheath, and his DNA could have been transferred there by some contact with another item or another person. We can't tell how it got there. We can't tell when it got there.
Or it could be there because he committed this quadruple murder and took the lives of these 4 students, and maybe when he was closing the snack, his thumb touched it before he even showed up at the murder scene, and maybe that knife sheath got loose.
Hopefully that helped.
The girls were fighting for their lives. Now, you take that evidence in conjunction with all the other evidence, including those phone records. Wow.
Investigators believe that Kohberger
And she's so afraid that she goes back in her bedroom and locks herself up, and then doesn't call 911 for 8 hours later. Okay, that is highly unusual. We look to expected behavior, expected response, reasonable response. That is what makes sense to jurors. Jurors are normal people. So you tell them the witnesses, and this witness comes across as credible. Turn the music down. Turn the music down. Hello, miss. What's your name?
Anna,
Is you live here?
yes, the University of Idaho students were murdered was known as a college party house. Going back before police responded to a noise complaint at the house on multiple occasions.
And if I do have to come back here, the $300 tickets to the way, and we just march that's from there. Is that fair?
Yeah, that's right. There was even an instance where there are people at the house, but none of the roommates are even there.
Who is here? So everyone here trespassing? Well, no one's here trespassing, but no one lives here. So you know.
I'm not super bad, notorious for like students going in and out partying all the time. My second year,
I do wonder if I go
all the time.
into the nether if
And then my third year, which is the year all this happened.
something cool happened.
People were in and out of this
Is a huge big deal because it expands the universe of suspects. Who was there at the time of the murders? Did they have possible motive to kill? So that's what they're trying to fight.
One of the most important parts of this case is that nobody knows this is a part of that. And as a result, if he says, I was in this house before, that's why my DNA is in this house. Now we talk about that, and we talk about DNA transfer, and all of a sudden, so we just got the evidence. It's in the house. It's on a knife sheet, which is found next to Maddie's body. I'm from the prosecutor. This is game source DNA.
Single source DNA profile is the most informative type of profile you can hope to get from a crime scene. It's a lot of clear information and what else with a single source DNA profile. So it's very strong evidence.
Washington State University. At the time of the eyewear monitors, Coca was a teaching assistant. And a few of the students came forward to say they noticed
Wow, that was a lot of them.
his behavior after the murders.
No reason to think that at the time, but definitely now and then, he started bringing everybody to the hundreds. He seemed preoccupied is what I would have said at the time. He would come in, be there for 10 minutes, leave, not say much. So
I'm gonna go up here and have a spawner down there.
you could tell there was some off about him.
What's still unclear is the prosecution's theory as to why he would want to kill these young people and what, if any, was the connection.
Motive is not an element of crime or murder. Of course, every inquiring mind wants to know why. Why would Brian Koberger do this to four innocent victims, college students? Could the state go to trial without motive? Absolutely, but I bet they won't. And the problem here is that we don't even have a connection to these victims. We don't have
that was taken down shortly after Koberger's arrest with the username Maddie and Zan both worked there as a popular restaurant in downtown.
Okay, I'm gonna have to get sand then. Sand and gravel, 1, 2. Put that there, put that there. I'm gonna go here. I don't know why I got like that all of a sudden. Nope. For those that don't know what happens to an Enderman whenever it gets set on fire, this is what happens. It'll just keep teleporting and it won't stop until it eventually dies.
Maybe to answer the question himself, maybe to explain why he's motivated in the way that he is. Trying to figure out in this particular case,
I am Siobhan Scott. I am a psychotherapist from Portland, Oregon. So what we're talking about this Reddit post, I saw a theme with him for years in his online writings of going back and trying to make sense of himself. And I think he was in that category.
So there's no point in even trying to escape that because you can't.
There's also
Now I'm gonna try and do this in survival if I have. Okay, I do have that on. And I'm gonna. Oh, I'm gonna do it again.
Criminology degrees, and the California killer did go on to become a law enforcement officer, so there have been quite a few others. So I think there's three reasons.
Thanks for the like.
The first is because they're altruistic and they really want to make the world a safer place, so they have good motivations. The second reason is because they're absolutely fascinated by the criminal mind, which can be a fine reason, but the dark side of that is that they're trying to figure themselves out. And the third reason is because they have a plan to commit crimes, and they're studying police tactics and procedures so that they can become a better criminal. And if Kohberger is the killer, I think those second two reasons are in play. Whoever did this, be it Kohberger or someone else, is a sexual domination killer. And this is someone who created a sadistic, theatrical career for years. Now, the fantasies serve to meet his emotional needs to express rage in women and to have a sense of godlike power. Because others' vulnerability makes them feel invincible, and their deaths make him feel like a god.
Coming up, the legal battle ahead as prosecutors seek the death penalty.
To have a full defense, he absolutely needs to know that this investigation against him was 100% according to protocol.
Plus, remembering the victims.
Through all this, I hope we can all look at dark times and see the light and follow the light. And I pray that we have justice someday.
Since his arrest in December 2022, Kohberger has made a number of court appearances, and his defense team has had a number of motions challenging everything from the grand jury indictment against him to how the investigators processed the DNA found at the crime scene.
Well, they did get a hit for the DNA that was found at the crime scene of the national.
All I need is one of these, one of those, one of those. Go there. Let's go there.
We want to know, we want to see exactly how you tested all of this DNA to get that result.
What's going on in Brian Kohberger's case that's very concerning is the government does not want to turn over in discovery what all was searched, what databases were searched, and what records were obtained.
When you're talking about a defendant's right to a fair trial and his due process and his Sixth Amendment to have a full defense, he absolutely needs to know that this investigation against him was 100% according to protocol and that there was integrity in this investigation.
The defendant apparently has an alibi that will swing you. They say, his attorneys, they let you go out at night in the early morning hours and sort of drive around, and that's what he was doing at the time of the murders.
Kohberger's alibi is that he wasn't at the crime scene, but instead he was driving around alone. That statement of his alibi doesn't tell us obviously exactly what time he was driving, where he was driving to and from, and why. We don't have any of those details. He's not saying something that's completely inconsistent with the evidence.
The defense also claimed that cameras should not be allowed inside the courtroom, claiming Kohberger's every move is being analyzed in a way that's prejudicial. Haley's father, Stephen Sommers, has some thoughts on that.
If you're not a personal person and you don't organize, then you probably don't want nobody to actually see the truth and see who you are and read you for how you behave. Can't hide the truth, man. I'm so tired of the secret and all that stuff. I want this stuff to be out in the open. I want all the evidence out. I want it to be clear. I want the community to look at that evidence. Should we start this?
A plea of not guilty was entered for Brian Kohberger after he chose to stand silent at his arraignment, describing
And that's where his studies became
I was lucky enough to be to explore life with Maddie was the best at spreading love.
Every time I step out.
Because always someone you can count on to make you smile and cheer up your mood. And I feel so lucky to have shared so many memories with him.
and all that night. And I pray that we have justice someday.
On the call, then the subject of my investigation is the Idaho student murders. This is the biggest case on the docket here at Court TV. And this is not the easiest case in the world to prove. It's a case based on circumstantial evidence. Here's the Ethan, Sarah, Maddie, and Haley were four friends living together in an off-campus house at the University of Idaho. They worked hard and were all flourishing as students and having the time of their lives. They were popular and their house was known as a gathering spot for fellow students. All of that tragically changed in the early morning hours of November 13, 2022. Those four students were stabbed to death inside their home. The room required and touching the nation, setting off intense manhunt for a killer. Students were afraid to get out on campus, and some never came back. Investigators from Moscow Police Department joined forces with the Idaho State Police and the FBI, following every tip and piece of evidence. That investigation took them across the country to Pennsylvania and led them to this man, a graduate student at a neighboring university in Pullman, Washington. This accused mass killer has denied the allegations and claimed to have an alibi. Where was he? What was he doing? Who? The search for answers as the investigation. So, if someone's accused of a murder, and this is a horrific one, your first defense and best defense is always going to be, well, it could have been me because I was somewhere else. In this case, they have a good window of time as to when they believe the murders took place. So what exactly is the accused killer's alibi? Typical thing. The alibi for the accused Idaho student's killer is that when 4 college students were murdered in the early morning hours, he was out for an innocent joyride. Defense attorneys called the crime and added murder and hiker, claiming he often took walks in the countryside at midnight and in the early morning hours to enjoy the moon and stars. The accused killer's family says that once school started, his taking decreased and his drives increased. His wife planned to present cell phone data and photos of the night sky that show he was in the countryside on several locations. The defense said the client's cell phone was south of Pullman, Washington, and west of Moscow, Idaho on November 13, 2022. So they say the car captured on video along the Moscow-Poland highway near Floyd's Canada shop could not be his. Floyd's Canada shop is off State Route 270, the main route into Moscow from Pullman, Washington. His alibi does not confirm or deny that other surveillance videos of the white Elantra in Moscow was him. Here's the state's timeline of the accused killer's movements, outlined in the probable cause affidavit. Prosecutors say his phone pings in Washington at 2:42 a.m. at his Washington State University campus apartment. His phone is on the move at 2:44 a.m. A few minutes later, his cell phone stops pinging. Investigators say that could be because the accused killer turned it off. And for the next 2 hours, investigators tracked his alleged movements using only surveillance video of what they say is his white Elantra. The state alleges that the accused killer drove from the WSU campus to Moscow by way of State Route 270. The claim is support with surveillance of a white Elantra in the direction of the highway at 2:53 a.m. There's a photo of the same car near Floyd's Canada shop further down the highway. The accused killer claims that it was not him. The cameras caught a white Elantra traveling through Moscow, first on streets near the crime scene, then on the victim's street from 3:39 a.m. to 4:20 a.m. Police say the accused killer turned his phone back on at about 4:48 a.m. near Blaine, Idaho, a rural community in the countryside about 10 to 15 minutes south of Moscow. According to the prosecution, from 4:50 a.m. to 5:26 a.m., his phone travels south towards Genesee, Idaho, going west toward Uniontown, Washington, and could lead toward Hawaii Park. The accused killer claims that park was his favorite place, and that in the early morning hours of November 13th, he drove there. His alibi does not say when he got home, but the state says at 5:30 a.m. his cell phone used service in Pullman, Washington. According to prosecutors, that's when he got home, not after an innocent drive, but after committing a quadruple murder. So that's the accused killer's alibi. But that brings me to our first question. Let's take a look. Does his alibi make any sense? Court TV producer Cody Thomas is on the case and joining us from Washington State. Cody, there you are. Because it's very specific where he said he practiced. So my question to you is, does his alibi make sense? Well, many, of course, it's up to the court to have a direct answer to that question, but I may go down to his location of the line. And I kind of get a feel of the stargazing vibe that he was going for. So the long drive, there was a lot of dirt road, several miles of dirt road to get there. Take a look at what this part would look like after dark at the entrance gate. According to Brian Koberger's alibi, he said during the little time when the murders occurred, he was out driving around simply targeting, specifically ending up right here at what he calls the state outside Hawaii County Park. Now, of course, there's nothing wrong with coming to a public park, doing what you want to do, targeting included them, so they're catching it for people to leave it. It's gated. That gate is full. No cars coming in. No cars coming out. So, nobody wanted it out. Like, he says he was here under the window. Now, we know what occurred. Now, how does that mean we'll be out here at the time that this park is closed? I'm saying his alibi is untruthful, but it does do a little money once you throw that crucial piece of information in here about Hawaii County Park. And again, man, that park is about 30 minutes west of Pullman in the opposite direction of Moscow. So what's the drive like to actually get to that gate? I mean, where are you driving? What are you passing? What are you seeing? I'm not saying much anything besides all these people obviously are And everybody, very dark, as you can see on your screen right there. And I was out there maybe around 9:30. You can see there weren't any cars out there. This one has right here, but maybe 3 hours. And once you get off this main road, you go down 7 to 8.
Wow. That's a lot of power.
And not much civilization at all in that. At one point, my cell phone dropped signal, but we also intend to figure out how to get back. But after midnight, I don't imagine anyone could pick him up out there. And the group that was out there at that time, they give him that run. Right. Now, this would work if you are going to stargazing. When you were out in this area, were there any stars out? Well, we were so big to the road, but the sky was very wide open, and I would say there was plenty of stars out. But again, I was trying to figure out where to go and make sure that I made that. We get a great idea from the video of what we're talking about here. This is not an area where you're going to come across anyone else at 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, 3 a.m. It's just not going to happen. But are you passing any businesses? Are you passing any homes, any farms? There is nothing but open fields without bars, without houses, and all essence of the phrase middle of nowhere. That's what this part felt like. I mean, you were going, it was dark, and I had my bright lights on, then all of a sudden off to the right, I saw an engine chain. I was, oh, there it is. But before that, you didn't see much of anything on the entire drive. And I presume there was no one else at the park at that time. This is a place where you get and I guess it's a place where you kind of get away, but is it a place you think you have to know about to come across? 100% you have to know about it because, again, like I said, obviously I was on the main road right here at the scene. But once you get off that main road, close to 10 miles of gravel, no businesses, no buildings, maybe just a couple of power lines running out to maybe there's a building in the park. But again, that gate is closed. I don't think we're going to see what's actually in there at night. But when I get out to it, I have to know about it probably through a local you or the University of Idaho. And his alibi is that by himself. And how do you feel driving in that area by yourself in the dark? I felt like I wanted to get out there immediately. Of course, I wanted to go see what it was like, try to get a feel of what he was talking about, what the feel of the alibi, see if he started was true. But as soon as I saw what he could see, I was out of there ASAP. All right, Cody Thomas on the case. Thanks so much, Cody. When we come back, we're going to talk about the video that is out on the internet. And the question is this video, is it a monster? Yeah. Lucas had 741 seconds or so. I think he turned it 408. All right. And the performance rates, how many exits the vehicle comes after that. Was the person who had been carrying out a lot of the punishments that Shonda had chosen to inflict on him. This is when they're instructed to do something wrong. This is when I was a 15-year-old down there because he was a nutrition. I was super very knowledge that she's in Sunday night.
Come on, Sean.
for pieces of evidence, but we are still looking for the weapon. And I will say that we have found the Elantra. The Elantra, the white Elantra, perhaps the most crucial and important piece of evidence in this case in tracking down the suspected killer. I don't have the weapon, but they have this white Elantra. Now, the white Elantra is referenced in the arrest affidavit, and they connect it to the suspect, and it's referred to as the suspect vehicle. Let me read that to you because it's important. Videos that came from the King Road neighborhood showed multiple sightings of suspect vehicle 1, the Elantra, starting at 3:29 a.m. ending at 4:20 a.m. So they have this window of time. Suspect vehicle 1 makes an initial 3 passes by the 1122 King Road residents and then leave via the drive. 1122 King Road can be seen entering it can be seen driving eastbound on King Road, stopped on King Road, and then driving to back westbound on King Road. When suspect vehicle 1 is in front of the King Road, the 3-point turn and then driving eastbound again down King Road. Suspect vehicle 1 is next seen departing the area of King Road at approximately 4:20 at a high rate of speed. They are tracking this car with all the surveillance video. There is some surveillance video that's circulating on the internet. This is a still frame from it. Look at the top of the frame. You see the little light there. What car is that? Whose car is that? And the question I have relative to that video is Elantra. Joining me to answer this question, host of Gray News Investigates on YouTube. Gray News is with us. Gray, and you have looked at this timeline, you have studied the evidence, you studied the videos. Let me ask you the big question first of all. Is this Elantra, in your opinion? I would say 100%. And why do you say that? Why do you say 100%? Look at this. This white Elantra is matches exactly what law enforcement says in the probable cause document. And then the vehicle parks at 408 near the and it visits inside of that 12 minutes. All 4 of the victims and left at the scene was a nightsuit that had Brian Silver in the DNA. So that DNA being on the nightsuit makes it also absolutely certain in my mind that the white Elantra is spreading around.
All right.
Before entering the area, they showed a missing front license plate, and in Pennsylvania, you don't need a front license plate, and the vehicle did not have one until the front plate right after the murder.
So now, even if they did try to, it wouldn't be able to get over here.
Let's roll that video, and you tell me what you see.
Ooh, that would be a lot of destiny. Okay, so if I now go into survival.
And then goes back and gets the same thing. Checking on the status of the house. Absolutely. The one thing about that where you are in the room, you have really good view of the home, and you can see which lights are on and which
Holy shit. Really? Really? Yeah, forgive me. Yep.
You have no concept. Explode around. Will be anything. Will be
The crime scene. So this didn't go 100% perhaps the way that it was planned because he was never planned to leave that behind. Now, as you look at this video, the one thing that is clear, we have about 20 seconds here. The one thing that is clear, this video is in one location, but they've got camera and surveillance video prosecutors there in several locations. Yeah, one, two cameras, so that's a one.
Exactly, for long, two rocks.
That's pretty part of that. Has a
Two rocks.
shot. Actually has the sample.
Sure, like I had to go look for you.
Crystal clear, so when that car is coming around, they can tell it's a rocket. Because they were in the system, like, there's a lot of people that say, oh, it's not a rocket. They actually determined it was from that camera, not the one that goes behind there. Is a different exactly what the public house said. Great news investigates. Thanks so much. We'll keep digging for answers as the investigation continues.
On Monday, January 27th, Florida Well, a value by will be doing a big studio at Disney Live. Hooking up in Let's go.
I'm Billy Politan as we continue our investigation into the Idaho shooting murders. As former prosecutor, I'm always concerned about the lack of evidence. Jurors are demanding, and you've got to prove cases beyond any all reasonable doubt. So you want as much evidence as possible. So what's happening here in the case of the Idaho shooting killer, accused killer? It's not going to be the easiest case in the world. There's more in store. Four students were brutally murdered in their home near the University of Idaho. Kaylee, Maddie, Rosanna were great people with amazing futures that were taken away by a monster. The man accused of this horrific crime has denied doing it and has proclaimed his innocence. There is no eyewitness, there is no confession, and there is no direct evidence. It's a case that the prosecution has built on circumstantial evidence which they believe is compelling. We'll take a closer look as we continue to investigate Idaho shooting murders. And there are a lot of ways that you attempt to gather the evidence in an investigation and in a case as you try to prosecute someone and build those pieces so you can tell the story and explain to the jury exactly what happened. Well, search warrants are one of the ways that you gather those pieces of evidence. Take a look at the search warrant affidavit from this case. Investigators located a tan leather knife sheet laying on the bed next to, it says Logan's right side, but it's Maddie Logan's right side. The sheet was later processed and had K-Bar and USMC, United States Marine Corps, an eagle globe, and an anchor insignia stamped on the outside of it. So on the search warrant, they said, yeah, we found a knife sheet. Which brings me to my next question. And this is a very important question, which is, where's the knife? Where is the murder weapon? Because you know in the case when you don't have a murder weapon, I'll issue one for the defense. Ladies and gentlemen, they don't even have a murder weapon. So let's bring in Court TV producer Cody Thomas joining us from Washington State tonight. Also with us, retired police commander, host of the Profiling Evo podcast, Mike King is here. Cody, let me begin with you. Where is the knife? Where could the knife possibly be?
Well, the first part of that question, we have to remember that a drive from Moscow to Pullman is only about 15 to 20 minutes tops to go directly to you from between cities. According to the Council Laws Affidavit, Officer Stone's being on a drive that's it's about 45 to 50 minutes elongated. I could probably take out 100 different things you could hide, especially after he committed crimes that over 15 to 20 minutes drive away from here in Moscow on S-270, but his cell phone pings at night placed him a little out of the way of what routine on S-270. So what we're going to do now is we'll get some of those key locations listed in the probable cause affidavit and see what that drive how it looks like that night. Now, according to police in that probable cause affidavit, they believe that Brian Kohlberg exited the King Grove neighborhood here.
Let's see how this works.
River Drive, as you can see, a very wide open, very bare street. Now, remember, during the window of the murder, Brian Kohlberg's phone not being on any local cell towers. Some police believe that he could have had it turned off, it was on airplane mode, but without being on any towers, nonetheless. But around 4:48 a.m., and he's going down this road, Highway 95, going towards Blaine, Idaho. Now, this is south of Moscow and about 32 to 35 minutes away from his apartment in Pullman, and also going in the opposite direction. Now, as we continue, the road and also no cameras, no street lights, so nothing to take anything out here as far as cars going down the road. But I see a couple sometimes. Just multiple cars have been figured out their passing through Tennessee, Idaho. They have headed west towards Uniontown, Washington before heading back up north to Pullman. Uniontown is where we are arriving right now. As you can see, still very bare out here. No surveillance cameras, but remember this part of the investigation was not on surveillance per se just yet, but more so on his cell phone ping out in this area. Keep in mind, they're still over a half hour away. Should have been just a 15 to 20 minute drive from Moscow back to his apartment in Pullman. I just wanted to stop and show you guys a further lay of the land out here. We're headed from Genesee to Uniontown, Washington, where some of his home teams were picking up on the way back to Pullman. Now, as you can see, this is a dirt ground road. Now, a single car, for as far as you can see, in either direction, and no surveillance cameras, no streetlights, ample acres, massive expanse of land. However, we do not have a murder weapon in this case. We don't know where he used it, but
I win.
all this land, there definitely be a possibility, especially around 4 a.m. Perhaps a murder weapon could be somewhere out here. All the tunnels were closed and he allegedly committed these crimes. We have now, after making that long loop of a drive, arrived back to Pullman, Washington, on the Washington State University campus. We are now on Stadium Way. It's one of the main strips on campus. It's also one of the main roads mentioned in that probable cause affidavit. It's one of the roads where they say in many intersections, cameras picked up Kohberger's wife, Alondra, as he arrived back here after 5 a.m., somewhere around 5:25, 5:27 a.m. As you can see, it's very busy around here with students walking around on the sidewalk. And we're coming up on one of these intersections here now. So let's see if we can see the 3. I count 4 off that post, and the one to the left also has a camera on it. So no doubt we are now finally arriving back to those Steptoe Village University housing apartments where Brian Kohberger, the alleged suspect in the Idaho student murder, this is where he lived at the time in November 2022. What was supposed to be a 15 to 20 minute drive turned into about 50 minutes to an hour long drive on all that barren land, that wide open road space. And the basic investigation was a combination of his cell phone pings along with surveillance footage of that white Elantra. So it all ultimately allowed the police to lock Brian Kohberger down as the primary suspect back here in Steptoe Village Apartments, where it all began on Washington State University's campus. Now, of course, being the official definitive answer outlined as to why he took the long way home, perhaps it may coincide with his Stargazing alibi. As for now, we'll have to wait and see.
Mike King, where's the knife? Where's that knife? Cody did a great job of describing how vast that countryside is there, Vinny. And you know what? I suspect that knife wasn't just disposed of in a really erratic manner. Once COVID, if in fact he's responsible for this, realized that he left the shots behind. Because then all of a sudden, upped the ante on the value of that knife if they were able to recover it. You can't even find a body in that many square hundreds of miles out there, let alone finding a small knife that probably now is under dirt. It's probably been turned over by a farmer somewhere in a field, and we may never see that thing.
The other part is the clothing, Mike. What are your thoughts there? The knife, a little bit smaller, clothing a little bit more difficult to get rid of potentially. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I think what we see, again, if this was the responsible guy, we see that there was a great amount of organization before the homicides occurred. So, what generally happens with an inexperienced criminal is that as soon as they break out into the crime spree that they're going to, everything that's been planned for goes out the window and they become disorganized. But the idea that he may have pre-configured how he was going to dispose of the clothing, we know that the clothing changes, it's pretty unreasonable, I think, to just theorize that he already had a dumping spot figured out for that, whether it was a dumpster or multiple dumpsters, because we know he's gone east of the residence, he's living west of the residence, he's traveling through all kinds of countryside to the south, and like we've seen in other homicides, Vinny, some suspects in the cases throw pieces out in different locations to try to make it a lot harder. And as they spread that out, it's less noticeable to somebody passing by. A little piece of sock in one garbage can and a sock 5 miles away in another, it completely throw people off and never raise this thing to the level of suspicion. And again, this is some of the evidence that isn't there that worries me as a former prosecutor. Mike King staying with us, Cody Thomas staying with us there. Next question. What was he doing after sunrise? Surveillance cameras inside the grocery store shows Colbert going inside and buying some unknown item before coming back out and leaving. One of the most successful true crime TV shows ever. Crazy now has a new home run. There is a original crime obsession, 48 hours on Court TV. Coming up next on Court TV. Join Court TV's Big Politics and virtual true crime stories. Now, let's look at the other side of all of that. Big Politics investigates. Weeks 9/8 Central. On Court TV. The Wayne County coroners conducted autopsies, and detectives have been provided with the results of those autopsies. We knew that the autopsies confirmed the identity of the 4 victims, determined the cause and manner of death as homicide by stabbing, and determined that it was likely all 4 victims were asleep during the attack. Some of the victims had defensive wounds, and each victim was stabbed multiple times. Those photos of those young people taken at such an early age. It's incredibly sad, incredibly tragic. And when the story first broke, one of the unusual facts that came out early on is when 911 was first called in this case. Because we know the murders were taking place like 4 o'clock in the morning, so when did they first notice? I want to take a listen to Captain Roger Lanier here from the Moscow Police Department and talking about the first call to police. On the morning of November 13th, at 11:58 a.m., a 911 call was placed to the Wickham Dispatch Center, reporting an unconscious person. The call originated from inside the residence and was made from the phone of one of the surviving roommates. Moscow Police Department officers responded, located 4 victims, 2 on the 2nd floor and 2 on the 3rd floor. So this is almost at noon before 911 is called. And it was a very strange fact in all this. But now you look at the timeline. Okay, so we know the investigation begins at noon. But that brings me to my next question, which is about who's killer. Dan, what was he doing after sunrise? Where was he?
I don't really want to go down there.
Where did he go? What did he do? Let's bring back the TV producer, Cody Thomas, who is in Pullman, Washington. So, what did he do after sunrise? He made a couple of stops later on that afternoon into the evening, the same day. Killings he was even caught on camera at one of the locations in person, so there's no doubt about that he was there. The thing about those locations is that they were almost an hour from Poland and Moscow. Take a look. So we're back here at the King Road location. You can see it right there behind me where those murders took place on November 13, 2022. Now, what's interesting about that day, a portion of the murders happened between 4 and 5 a.m. But around 9:36 a.m., a few hours after the murders, Ryan Kohberger's phone pings in the area yet again. Now, did he return to the crime scene? We don't know that. Sketching them out will learn those details, of course,
9 p.m. So let's go check some of those places out.
Now, according to the probable cause affidavit, surveillance video from this U.S. Chef store here in Clarkston, Washington, picked up a white Elantra.
It's also consistent with where Stone was hanging here in Clarkston at the time. It happened around 12:36, the same day of the murders, and he also showed up at another spot.
Just up the road, also here in Clarkston, which is about 45 minutes away from his apartment and about 50 minutes away from the location on King Road where the murders took place.
Around 12:46, the same day of the killings, Coburger's phone pinged right here also in Clarkston, near this Albertsons grocery store. Not only does the phone ping, surveillance camera inside the grocery store shows Coburger going inside and buying some unknown item before coming back out and leaving. Again, this is in Clarkston, Washington, about 45 minutes away. Coleman where Coburger is at his grocery store. And the last stop that Coburger's phone pings was back in Johnson, Washington, about 36 minutes after the road north toward the interesting thing about that, it was around 5:30 p.m. the same day of the killing, but 5:36 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. his phone stops pinging to the local towers, similarly to how it stopped pinging during the window of time that the murders occurred on the same day. Now, is that suspicious? Now, of course, will be left up to the jury to decide for this trial. If you need one more tidbit about those locations, to get to them, you have to pass over Snake River. Snake River separates Idaho from Washington State on the state line. After that, could be home to the murder weapon or the code that we've been speaking about.
Yeah, I remember the Snake River Canyon from years ago. They're too young for the West Virginia Eagle. Attempted one of his jumps. Mike King is still with us as well. Mike, what are your thoughts about what the accused killer is doing after sunrise? And let's start with going back towards the scene of the crime. Because if he's back at 9:30 in the morning, 911 hasn't been called yet.
Exactly. And this thing is really interesting when you look at it from the perspective of criminal behavior. If in fact this is a criminal who has fantasized about committing these murders, planned them out, and then looks for the news to come out and validate his word, and nothing comes out, it's got to be incredibly frustrating, which then prompts him to come out of the lair and drive by the location to figure out that they even discovered this thing has happened yet. And I think that's really what we're going to find in this trial that comes out clearly is that drive-by was number one, to validate that the police are either there or not there investigating it, and to reaffirm this monumental task that the predator accomplished by killing these 4 kids. And it's really frustrating to think about it from that perspective. But then I think the question is really going to go south if you're all hang on to that as we go forward.
Well, go ahead, Mike. I'm looking at a couple of different stops here. I understand the coffee. It's just been an all-nighter for him. Might be getting a little tired. Is running out of his body. This mark is much closer to his home.
Exactly, Benny. And you know what? I think it's going to be really interesting if law enforcement was able to collect a receipt from King's. I'd like to know if this guy had a double shot of caffeine on that cup of coffee, because if in fact it's him, he was up all night and he has to be pretty dang tired, regardless of how wired he is emotionally. And that could keep you going for a long time. But the other purpose going south wasn't to get a cup of coffee. Albertsons might be makes perfect sense. Maybe the guy was hungry by that time in the morning, or he needed to stop and use the restroom. 100 reasons that we can come up with why he needed to be in there. And I think that's going to come out if we actually get a full detail of the receipts of what was purchased there. But don't forget that the night before, or the hours before this, right after the murder, during that time when his phone is turned off, it's believed that he's making a couple of trips here and there. And then the phone comes on and we see it just north of that Lewiston location in 2 different places, that phone pinging. Again,
Oh, did he go into?
wants to see their artwork.
Idiot.
It might be that he's driving by those locations where he potentially dumped clothing or the knife, or he washed up afterward, and he wants to go by to make sure the law enforcement investigators.
The time is 8:30 p.m. Get off the clock, but alarm dismissed.
Alright, well that concludes this one. I'm gonna go to creative mode before I leave because I don't want anything to happen here. To my friends and family, thank you for joining. Love you all. And remember, nature always. I just gotta. Oh! Nice.
All of this is incredibly suspicious. It's circumstantial. It's not direct evidence, but it's part of the thesis that